Welcome back. I'm super excited to see you. I'm Michelle Keneally, and you're watching the How to Start Your Blog series. If this is the very first time we've ever met, hello, I'm super excited to get to meet you, and I would love for you to check out my page and to see what's here that you might find helpful. If you're someone who is wanting to build a business using social media while raising a family, maybe having a job, but you don't want to be attached to your phone all of the time and you're feeling a little bit frustrated, maybe looking at how to start a blog is for you. Now, I'm not a very tech savvy person myself, but I soon and quickly realized that getting into arguments with my husband and having my daughter feel neglected because I was busy using just Facebook to build my business, which worked. However, the frustration and the arguments I found just to not be worth it. So once I got over the idea that I am not a very tech savvy human and that I, could learn how to use a blog to build my business so that people on Google could find me, I decided to put together this series for you so you can watch me over the next 1 year span build a blog and show you how it works. So this series, if you've just for the first time come across it, is the 5th video in this series where I've been sharing ways that you can come up with what to talk about in your blog. My theory is that if you can figure out how to use a Facebook business page or even a Facebook profile in order to brand yourself and to help humans on the social media, you can leverage your time and be a lot smarter about your business and do the same thing on a blog. So this week we've been exploring what would your blog topic be about. If you're currently on social media and you're trying to build a business and you're having a really hard time figuring out why aren't people buying my products or signing up for my services, and you haven't found yourself creating helpful tutorials to help people to set up their, whatever it is that they're trying to solve, I hope that this series also helps you to figure out that. Because I don't believe in giving up on your idea. I don't believe that if you have it in your mind that you want to build an online business, but you haven't quite grammar, you haven't quite found your groove yet, you're not alone. There are so many people, so many moms that start businesses and they're just trying to figure out how to make something work. A lot of people start in MLMs, or there's a lot of moms I know that once they have a baby, they're realizing they don't really want to go back to work and they don't know what they can do about it. So I really hope to inspire people who are just kind of searching for what is it that will fit them, okay? And if you think that you've been thinking about blogging a little bit, I hope that this inspires you because that's what this whole 1 year series is going to be all about, where I literally share with you what I've learned and what I'm doing to build my own blog. And if you're looking for a blogging buddy or someone to come along on the journey with you or just talk blog with you as you build yours, this is definitely where you want to be, because this is what we're going to be doing on this page, Juggling Life All Day. If you're watching me from Facebook, if you're watching me from my Start Your Blog Mama YouTube channel, you can find in the description below, I put together a tutorial on how to set up your blog, going, very carefully over some tech details so that you can set up your blog yourself. If I can do it, so can you. So anyway, find that tutorial. If you're like, I wish I knew how to blog, I just cannot figure out how to take the steps. So I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and waving at you over here in Robbinsdale, actually, Minnesota, a little suburb of Minneapolis. I have a daughter, a husband, and a very busy life. So I have learned that creating a blog is the way to go. It's the way for me to be found online and for me to earn income doing it. Now, next week, we're going to dive into how do blogs actually make money. So you're going to want to tune in for that. But today's video is all about what if you cannot figure out what you want to blog about? What if you feel stuck? What if you've gone through all of the process of brainstorming and trying to come up with your perfect idea, but you still feel stuck? That's so common. I mean, we get into a routine of our life of grocery shopping, going to work, getting up every day, getting our kids off to school, packing lunches, doing laundry, all of this mundane routine stuff. So our creativity levels tend to come down. And that part of our brain that allows us to dream and to see, what is possible, like when we were kids, tends to dwindle a little bit. So what we kind of see as common sense just becomes background white noise, and we don't really see the value that we actually have to offer the world. And honestly, if you have figured out any of these Facebook tools, you can figure out how to set up a blog. I'm not even kidding, because Facebook, the tools are, they're just tools. They're just ways to get your information out there, to connect with people in the world. And that's exactly what a blog is too. So it's like you've learned the language of each social media platform that you're on. You can learn the language of Google and how to connect with people in the world and to be found by people who need your help, okay? So if you're feeling stuck, and you don't know what to blog about, number one, if you haven't gone through this series already, I suggest going back through this series to figure out what it is that you want to blog about, or go ahead and hit the sign up button here on the page to get into my course, my free course, where I actually help you to discover that, and I expose you to what the world of blogging looks like. So if you want to accelerate this, go into that workshop where I actually show you step by step the technology side of things. And this series is just going to be a supplement for you if you do decide to blog, because that way we can connect over the next year on how to get your blog up and launched and moving along and becoming profitable. We can go from 0 to 3. What's the word I'm trying to say? I don't even know. I almost said from 0 to hero, but it doesn't fit. The point is, this series is a year's worth of blogging work where you lay the foundation and you go through the steps to make it a profitable business. That's what I'm trying to say. So today's action step is to help you to come out of hiding in your creativity this is another way to find out what you want to blog about, okay? The first thing that you can do, literally, is if you've written out your interests, things that you're good at, things you've gotten a result from, things you're interested in, and you've gone through the steps of finding the comments on Facebook of people who are talking about your topic, becoming a comment lurker, and finding out what people are saying, what they're talking about. Even if have you ever searched for a recipe, even on Pinterest, and someone has, created a recipe and they've written something about a certain recipe? I'm just saying, I just recently did this. And you read the recipe, the person writes about it, and then there's a comments part, where people can talk about the recipe. And some people have tried the recipe, some are excited to try the recipe, but then you get to see the people who tried it, who've come back and have commented and said, oh, this didn't work out for me, or I had to do this to make it work. In the comment section of, Facebook or Pinterest or even on YouTube is where you can kind of see the problems that people are having, even if they've found a solution, online. When you are a blogger, you are a person who is providing solutions. You are answering questions, you are teaching somebody how to do something, or you're inspiring them, or you're letting them know they're okay if they're on a certain journey, if they're in a struggle. or most people want to learn how to do stuff. Like, think about your behavior and what you do when you go, to Google. Like, what are you mostly going to Google for? Probably to look up how to do something, right? Or how to convert, measurements when you're cooking, whatever. So recently I just did, I made Grinch fudge for a cookie exchange party. I'm recording this series starting in December of 2019, and we're going to finish in 2020. And I've never made fudge before, but I wanted a simple recipe to make fudge. And I followed the recipe, I put it together, and I refrigerated it, yes. And then when I went to cut it, I cut it, and then I let it go back out. I live in Minnesota, so right now it's like super cold in my breezeway. We have a breezeway. How Midwestern is that? And the fudge was cut and it's out in the breezeway. And we realized later that the fudge had started to like melt. And even though I had cut the pieces of fudge, they were no longer separate pieces. That's not good, right? So I went back and like started reading more comments under this recipe, and people were talking about how they had the same problem and how they fixed it. And I should have read the comments, honestly. I should have. But I didn't. I just was like, looks good. I'm going to make this, because it was like the fewest ingredients I could, come up with that was the easiest for me to do. That's how people behave online. Like, they're looking for what relates to them, how it can help them. And in the comment section is where you can start to see and troubleshoot like what people's experiences are around whatever topic you're looking up. I'm sure even on like Amazon, when you go to buy a product, you're probably going to read the reviews, most likely. Most of the time. I'm so guilty of not doing it all the time. Anyways, so my point is that continue to dig around in the comments and log and journal around like what people are saying, and you might find yourself going, oh, I can totally share with that person how to do that. This is how you do it. Those could be blog topics that you could write about. Now, I say take those questions you're finding as you're searching the internet and the reviews you come across, however you decide to research, and write out something that's helpful to that person. Pretend you're writing to that person. Maybe even snoop their profile a little bit and see like if you can like, do you ever do that where if you're crowd watching, you're watching the crowd and you can kind of like pretend you kind of get an idea of like what they're really like in real life? I am so guilty of that. I do that all the time where like I'm not judging, I'm just sort of like making up who they are, and it sounds judgy, but it's not. I swear to God, I'm just like, oh, I bet you. and my husband's always like, why do you make up these stories about people? I don't know. I don't know. I do it. Okay, back on track. So pretend you're reading in these comments and you're imagining who this person is, who might need to know how to make Grinch fudge, who it turned into slime or whatever, putty. I had to throw it all away. It was such a tragic waste. Pretend you're writing to me if you're trying to help me figure out how to fix this fudge and you want to teach me how to make fudge. Maybe you're an expert fudge maker. I have no idea. Write to me. Teach me in the way I would understand. You know what I mean? And then practice that. See how that feels. Try another subject out. See how it feels to write about that. If it's really hard to imagine yourself writing, this is how I do it. I always think of a video before I create a post, right? And because I think in like, how would I talk to my friends? Which, by the way, like if you're watching me right now, I already feel like we're friends. So that's just, how I think. But I always think of like, how can I make a video about it? So maybe record yourself teaching someone how to solve a problem or fix something, right? And then once you've done that, listen to yourself, like actually listen to yourself, and then go back and like write out as if you were taking notes on what you just said. Jot down a few notes, right? What you're probably going to see when you jot down those notes, it's probably like 4 main ideas, like 4 different steps, or you're going to see some bullet points that like somebody would need to follow in order to like follow what you just said in your video. Break it down and then take those 4 main ideas and then write a little bit of something underneath those 4 main ideas so that, and I'm going to get into how to actually structure a blog post. Don't worry, we're going to do that in this series. This week is just about uncovering your topic, okay? So don't worry about being perfect. Just worry about finding your heart and like what you can do to offer people some help or inspiration, you know? So I think like writing out what, you know, ways you can help answer questions for people and just see if it makes you feel excited or if you're like, yes, I am meant to do this, you know? And if not, or do a video and then see how you could write about that. Most people like to consume information in video anyway. So if you do a video first and then write about it later, honestly, that's kind of like the easier way to do it. In my opinion, that's just how I flow. But because people consume so much information on video anyway, and Google honestly favors video also, which we're going to get into that. Don't worry. But these are just like a couple of ways you can think of like how to find your topic. So the last way I suggest you figuring out what you could be talking about is, let's say you already have some sort of a business that you're promoting, okay? And you already have established a business page and you're already talking about maybe your products or your services. Now, think about what would help the person who is going to use your service or use your product. What problems could you solve for them that leads them to solving their problem by using your product? What topics could you talk about that would lead them back to wanting to use your product? Think about that. Like if you're not selling products on social media yet because maybe you're just posting pictures and you're just saying I have a sale, but you haven't shown anyone how your product helps them or help them relate to what your product or service does, that might be why. So create your perfect customer. And don't say everyone can be my customer, because not everyone can. You personally cannot be friends with everyone. You have to think in those terms, like, who would I personally connect to? Of course, you're probably going to attract people that aren't like you, that you don't necessarily see eye to eye on everything with. But if you speak directly to a person who you would actually probably be friends with in real life, your message is going to come across even more clear. We're going to get into that in this series more. But I needed to combine that a little bit with you, where if whatever service or product you already have, if you could map out what your ideal person is that would want to use what you have to offer, and then think about like, what could you help them with? So let's say, I always use the example of someone who makes macaroons or artisan cookies. Let's say you are selling mixers or whisks, like you sell whisks, so that's your thing. Maybe you are in an MLM that has cooking gadgets, and you're just talking about the cooking gadgets, but you're not pushing past all that white noise for people to hear your message around these cooking gadgets. Let's say you just talk about artisan cookies and how to make these artisan cookies, and then you showcase how you use the products that you sell to make the artisan cookies. And so all of your content is around how to make filling, how to make the shells to make the macaroons, how to do, special frosting, how to design, you can have a whole, my God, we have like how many seasons and holidays around cookies, you know what I mean? And you could show like what type of cookies you're making in this season, and while you're doing it, you're showing the tools that you're using. And guess what? People are going to want to know what it is you're using because they trust you. You've given them a result. You've taught them how to make those gingerbread men and how to make blue macaroons and how to make frosting and how to, make their daughter's birthday cake, or not cake, but you know what I mean. So think about what the person is that you could help, would want to know with what you already know how to do, or that you're obsessed with enough that you would learn how to do it even better. I hope this video is helpful for you. Please let me know your progress, and if you have, come up with what you can see yourself helping people with, okay? I hope I'm unlocking the creativity that's been on lockdown inside of you. The biggest thing is, I just want you to let go of that fear. And the way you let go of that fear is just to start writing and start exploring, okay? The more you start letting it out, the more likely you're going to find it. So tomorrow we're going to talk more about that, about, if you don't know how to write, okay? So just explore the topics we talked about today, okay? And let your, God, why am I so breathy? So you can see I have truly unlocked my passion, and what makes me excited is because I really like to help women unleash their greatness and to learn how to get their greatness out into the world. So I get so okay, you can do it. Okay, so before I creep you out anymore, I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to tell you to go do it now. Just go do it now. If you're driving in the car and you're feeling all this inspiration welling up inside of you, pull over and write it down on your note app. Just kidding. Re-listen to this and then let yourself get inspired and get your notebook out. If you find yourself getting frustrated, immediately stop. If you find yourself with those doubt goblins coming into your brain, immediately stop and come back to this, okay? Because that means you need to unlock your creativity even more. Do this exercise when you can feel the positivity and the flow of your open mind, okay? You can do this, all right? So cheers. I'll see you in the next video.